Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the We Bought a Franchise podcast. I'm Jack Johnson.
I'm Jill Johnson.
And we have an extra special guest with us this morning, Mr. Steven Montgomery. Steven, great to see you.
Hey, I'm excited. How you doing?
We're great, man. Thanks for joining. We've been chasing Steven for quite some time. It's weird, Jill, because Steven is a friend, a partner, and he's also our franchisor.
That's true.
So, and for those of you that don't know, the whole reason we started the We Bought a Franchise podcast is that we own a franchise called Pink's here in Palm Beach, Florida. And Steven, of course, is the franchisor who found the Pink's guys. And I think, Steven, did you convince them to franchise? Was that your doing?
Yeah, they were already curious about it, but they had no plans on doing it themselves. And so when we met, it was like a perfect fit because we're like, we have every system ready to go. And they had an amazing brand. And so it was a great partnership.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people the story about how we were kind of, talking because That One Painter is such a great franchise.
Yep.
And truly, I mean, as I look at it, we had That One Painter come and paint our house a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they're great.
And to just see the whole model in action was really cool. But we somehow, we're talking about That One Painter, and then we see the Pink's brand, and we're having this meeting, and I'm looking at like Pink's website, and I'm looking at the merch page, and I'm like, Steven, can we talk about Pink's?
I remember. I was like, I'm trying to get you to hold back. You're like, okay, that all sounds great, but what about Pink's? You guys were like, we're not really ready with it yet. And we're like, well, talk to us about it. So.
Yeah. You guys were definitely one of our first. So that was it. And even when we talked about it, I was a little bit nervous because like, dude, it's a great brand, but like not all the systems are done yet. Are you sure you want to get involved? And you're like, dude, I'm in.
Yeah.
And not only that, you guys have, brought really great feedback and built a great team that's just helping the brand get better and better as well. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, and here we are piloting a whole new aspect of Pink's, which I saw you post about on LinkedIn this morning with our Pink power washing ban, and that's a whole new exciting chapter.
That's very exciting, and I'm glad that you spearheaded that because I think it's going to be really good for you guys. It's going to be really good for the whole brand. Anybody who adds that to their window cleaning and adds the pressure washing rig as well, it's a huge. I mean, it has the potential to nearly double, I think, the revenue.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're already seeing the average jobs. I mean, you probably can see on our little CRM system. I mean, the jobs we're doing this week are just sick, dude. It's changed fundamentally what we can do. But it's like prior to getting on this with you, we were on a Pink's franchisee call, and man, I was excited to see people that we've placed in Pink's, like having amazing weeks already. That's really fun as a franchise consultant to kind of get that inside view of what people are really doing. So this has been such a neat experience for us. But Steven, I think you've got such a great story. I know you've told it a million times. We stopped Steven when we saw him last in person in Disney World. We were both there for a franchise conference, and we brought our son Trey. And I stopped Steven and I said, Steven, can you tell Trey the story about when you started That One Painter, how much money you had in your pocket? Can we talk about that and maybe share your story of how it all started?
So I started That One Painter with $12 in my bank account. And I had just gotten married. I met my wife at college, but then we both decided college wasn't really for us. Got engaged and ultimately got married. And it was like a few weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after our honeymoon. I was doing a lot of subcontracting for a painting company that did a lot of pressure washing. So I was doing most of the pressure washing, actually. I did 3 a day. So I know pressure washing pretty well.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you really do know it.
Yeah. And I was sitting in my truck, and I didn't have a good setup like we have with Pink's. I had like a mix. Like I had like a decent rig, but it was this whole thing. Anyways,
did you have like the real? Did you have like just like the roadie, or did you have like a tank and a trailer and that type?
I didn't have the tank and trailer and stuff. Just your standard. It was at that time I don't remember which one. I've been through a lot of them, but standard 4,500 I think PSI pressure washer, and I would do 3 a day for this company who had sold all these Groupons. And so I was sitting in my truck doing subcontract work for them. It was like towards the end of the day. I was soaking wet, smelled like bleach, and was sitting there and I was like, I don't want to work for these guys anymore. I want to do something for myself. And I was doing a lot of side work. Like I had a lot of like painting gigs that I was doing on the weekends. And so I thought I had one lined up for like $2,700. And I called my wife and I was like, hey, I did the math with what you make at Starbucks. I think we could pay rent, and if tips are good, groceries. So I was like, let me go out and like try to start my own painting company. She was on board. So I called my boss, was like, hey, this is my last day. I quit immediately. And then I thought I had that $2,700 job lined up. So I was going to get a half, 50% deposit that would like fund my business. And he canceled the job.
No.
So I had $12 and no job. And I had committed to my wife that I would do whatever it took to make it work. And so I knocked on doors, called real estate agents, would go to real estate offices and just pass out business cards. And pretty quickly, I had a number of jobs and then happy customers who started referring me. And it just grew from there. And so I started just me painting houses, and over like a decade built one of the biggest painting companies here in Texas, and then started franchising 3 years ago. And so Resi and That One Painter grew really fast in the last 3 years. But there was like 10 years of me building one business in Austin, Texas as that foundation originally. Yeah. And so sometimes I think people think like Resi and Pinks and That One Painter were overnight successes. And in my head, it wasn't. It's like, it's all part of one journey that's been 13 straight years for me.
It's incredible. And it's incredible to see, how the business has grown. Painting, we talk about certain businesses and franchising that you can really set your watch to. I come from the senior care world, where if you look at the average gross revenues across the board for basically every senior care brand, it's very consistent, and it's low investment and it's high need. And the same is true of painting. Painting's one of those businesses that if you look at it from That One Painter to Certa Pro, to Wow One Day Painting, there's plenty of others. It's very consistent. The model is great. It's high need. You guys can do big jobs. It's a great business.
Yeah, I love it. Painting is like dollar for dollar. It's the biggest improvement you can, or the most drastic improvement you can make to your home. So like, there's no other service you can do that has as dramatic of an effect on the look of a home for the same price. And what's amazing about that is that it's a really great opportunity. You can make a big difference. You can get involved with interior designers, realtors, all that kind of stuff. And then even in recessions, people might not replace their kitchen cabinets, but they might choose to do a cheaper option and just paint their cabinets, or hold off on the full remodel and just paint the home. And so it's just one of those tried and true, really important home services. And so painting's been it's a really good foundation to what Resi had. And now we're, tackling more and more home services as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, you're right. It's a very, it's a great way to change the dynamic of your home very quickly, for less, which is amazing. And you can get started on a relatively low investment. What I've been really, impressed by is we sent you a client who was a former franchisor at my last franchise that I was a part of in senior care. And he signed up with you guys last year. And now he's adding, my God, he's doubling his units that he already has. And from what I've heard, the numbers that he's been able to produce with his business are just mind-boggling. To the point where he might be lapping your guys' locations in another year.
He could. I'm competitive, so I'm going to try to not let him beat my locations. But he is. I love that. He is fully neck and neck already with what we were doing. And so, he has built an amazing team, and they bought a whole bunch of more territory that will launch next year. And they're just good people. Like, good people. They follow the system. They follow the process. Good people following a good system, building something great.
Yeah. And again, it's like, Steven, you had, as we listened to your story, and you talked about, initially I wanted to be the biggest painter in Austin.
Yeah.
And people laughed. And then I wanted to be the biggest painter in Texas, and people laughed. And now I want to be the biggest painter in the US, the world, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you've proven time and again that nothing can stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like when you commit to an idea, you commit to a goal, and you just keep working at it and building off of it, and you get other people to believe that same vision with you, like pretty quickly things start to feel possible, right? And so we have a ways to go to be the largest painting company in the US, but um, I genuinely believe it's going to happen. And it's going to happen because we have amazing franchisees. And I think collectively we will be the largest painting brand. And then for us, like this is something new that we've been doing with that one painter, but also with Pinks. It's something that they just started doing at their executive calls and their confirmation calls. Is so when we have franchise candidates that are on a call and they're learning about our brand and stuff, we end the call and we say, hey, at the end of this call, I have a homework for you. I want you right now to Google painter in or window cleaner in your city. And I want you to find who has the most reviews. And I want you to screenshot them. And I want you to put them as the background on your phone for the next week or so. And I want you to look at that and visualize yourself beating them. And you now are the number one in your city. And if that's not something that gets you excited, if that's not going to be your goal, don't be a Resi Brands franchisee. It's not the right fit for you because we are a highly competitive brand. We want to build significant legacy businesses, prominent ones, not just, something small. And so I think with that, I think if we attract people who have that mindset, which we are, together we can build some pretty amazing things.
Yeah, I mean, I think visualization is one of the most powerful things. Certainly anytime we've had high levels of success, we've had a goal. And we've been laser focused on the goal. And you are what your goal is. I mean, if you want to get there, you've got to have an aiming point. Whereas if you're just wandering and you have no aiming point, you're never going to get there.
Yeah, no, I think there's power in seeing it every single day in front of your face, so I love that you guys do that because it's so easy to get distracted and forget and move on to something else. But the constant reminders will really help and fuel that competition. And I love when we're on the franchisor calls, it's friendly competition. You want to cheer everyone on, but you also want to beat them. So I think that's key in these businesses too, is like, just it's fun. It's like, okay, you know what? These guys did great this week, but we're going to, smash them.
Oh yeah, we know. Like
no, and you guys have that competitive spirit. Because even when I was like, hey man, Pinks is our newest brand. Like I almost tried to talk you out of it because I wasn't trying to talk you out of it, but I was trying to just make sure that like you're starting up with a brand new one. Are you sure that's what you want to do? And you were like, yes. And I remember you were like, I'm going to be the best Pinks franchisee. Like I'm going to win. And that's that mindset and look, that doesn't mean it happens overnight. It's a lot of work. It could take years sometimes to beat your competitor who's been there for a while. Right. But that mindset of that's what I'm going after. And I want to be a winner in my city. I want to build the biggest and the best window cleaning, pressure washing company in my city. Like that's what you have to have and like, isn't that what employees want? They want to work somewhere where people actually have vision and dreams. Like, aren't you, like, we're going to have better teams. You're going to have a better team when they know like, oh, they're going somewhere. And then they see more opportunity for themselves by working with you and working for you. Right. And so I think it's huge. And I think a lot of business owners are, that's like a missing piece for them. They just haven't set big enough goals for themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's a Pink's monthly revenue record, which we don't own yet. But we think we can get there this month. And so that's what we're really using it to motivate our team and say, here's the number where we have to get to. And we're laser focused on it. We are watching that schedule every day. And, Steven, people ask me all the time, they call, and they want to know what our experiences are as Pink's franchise owners, as Resi franchise owners. And they're like, tell me about the CEO model. How much free time do you have? And I'm like, here's the thing. Yes, we have a GM that he's out there doing the 9 to 5. He's out there if we have an unhappy customer. He's dealing with that. But we are watching this business. We are living this business. I'm constantly watching the schedule, watching are our guys going to the jobs and are they billing and collecting? Jill and I are the ones depositing the checks. So when people talk to us, because for so many years, especially coming out of COVID, there was such this desire for people to have passive income and have this extra business while they kept their job. And it's we're really seeing now that people are saying, wait a second, no, there's fun in building a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's rewarding to build a business.
Yes.
It's smart to have a team that can help
Yes.
you build your business, but ultimately you're the one that has to make it special. You know, it's like I always point to Captain Kirk back here.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Kirk was the difference maker. He had to make, he had a team full of great people, right? You know, Spock's his right-hand man, tons of talented people, but ultimately Captain Kirk had to make the call.
That's right.
Well, because he's sitting here over my shoulder. And he dealt with some serious crap and he found his way out. You know, and you've got Khan hunting you down. So
not all of us watched Star Trek.
Well, nerd alert over here.
Yeah, no, I get it. But it's like, that's why I have him there, is that, you know, that's part of it too with being a business owner, is that visualization and knowing that I can, you know, meet my challenges and succeed. And I should want to be the difference maker and make it special.
Well, I think what you said in there was really important is could we let our GM just run the business and not touch it? Yeah, probably, you know, within reason, but there's fun and there's, you know, we want the business done the way we want it. Yeah.
You guys have drive. You want to build something.
We want to be a part of it too.
Yes.
It's not something that we want to just hand off. We want to see the day to day. We want to make a difference. We want to, you know, lead by example. And so, you know, I mean, there's fun in that too. It's not just a job. It's seeing something that you're creating and you're putting together. So, you know, I want people to understand that part of it too, is when it's yours, it doesn't feel like a job. It's exciting. Yeah. It's stressful. But there's a different type of excitement and motivation that you have when it's like your baby. So.
Yeah. And I think people should be less concerned with whether or not it's passive and whether or not they're going to enjoy business as a passion and purpose. And that doesn't matter what type of business, just in like the art of building a business. Like you can find a lot of reward, personal purpose and passion in, whether it's window cleaning, painting, senior care, whatever it might be, is the fact that building a business and building something for you and your family and for the next generation, it's also part of like improving this, you know, the American economy by creating new small businesses. Like there's a lot of purpose in that, and you can find a lot of passion in that. And then, if you build a great team and they're able to handle most of the day today for you, and it becomes a little bit more passive, then that's a win, right? So you can but a lot of great business owners, once one business is like almost like self-managing, they just start another one, because they love the process. And I think that's really what people should focus on, is how do I get myself out of the day-to-day, not so that I do nothing, but so that I can do more.
Yes. Well, and that's interesting how the world has really changed. And if you look at it, it's blue collar businesses have really taken over. And we, I don't know if you've ever met Marco Zamora, who's a co-owner of Amada Senior Care.
I haven't.
He's a good dude. You'd like him. He was on our podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he made a very interesting statement. Remember what he said? He said, I wish I could go back in time and not go do the MBA. And he's like, you know, if my son comes to me and says, I want to do an MBA, or even just, hey, dad, you know, it's going to be 200, 400 grand for college. His point is, I'd almost rather offer you the option to take that 200 to 400K and put it into a business, because even if the business doesn't succeed, you will learn more.
Because you're right in it with everybody.
And you learn by example. You learn as you do. You can learn in a textbook, but until you're actually in it, it's a whole different world. Right.
Yeah. It's the whole philosophy of embracing the heart. And we tell almost everyone to a T, I think everyone that we talk to, your first 18 months are going to be rough. Because you've seen, there's so many franchisees that are out there that, you know, they get 6 months in and they decide to hate it. And it's everybody else's fault but theirs. When the truth of the matter is, hey man, it's your business. And the first 18 months are critical. And sometimes you're going to have to put more money into that business than you thought you would. Those are just facts. And what's interesting, we have franchisees or clients who've bought franchises through us, and all kinds of different franchises. And in almost all of them, you can point to the client that we spoke of earlier, who is scaling with tons of units. And at the same time, someone else signed up as that client, and they're just sitting there, they're complaining. They are not doing anything. And this is something that I said on a Pink's group call yesterday to prospective franchisees. I said, listen, mindset is so important as a franchisee.
Yes.
If you're going to become a new franchise owner and you're going to join this system, as you start to grow, inevitably, there's going to be a group of franchisees that are negative, that are talking about all the things the franchisor is doing wrong. And they're going to be your underperformers. And it's going to be easy to want to go talk to them because it's much easier to complain than to just go work and kick ass. And so my advice is never go to that crowd. Yep. Find the top performers and be their friend, and don't get into that noise, because it will hijack your business, and that of all things will steal your money.
Like, you guys are hitting it like right on the head. Like, it is. I had a new franchisee come in, and he's crushing it. Brand new, just launched, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, crushing it. And he, had the misfortune of talking to a couple of bottom performers who were just complaining. And his response, he called me and he goes, there's a few people. He's like, it's poison. He's like, it's poison. He's like, I had to shut that out because listening to their complaints is just going to mess me up. He goes, I am focused on building a great team, and I'm going to build the best painting company in his city. And like, it's just a mindset. And like, you had like mindset. Everybody talks about how important mindset is, but mindset is only as good as you protect it. Right. And you have to protect it with what you say, but also what you listen to and who you let speak into your life, or what you allow them to talk about around you. And so I think it's a huge piece. And in every single brand, you have winners and losers. That's what makes averages. Like, that's how averages are formed, because you have people doing really well, you have people doing really bad, and you have a bunch of people in the middle. But like, that's the nature of it. And this is something that I've kind of talked about a few times with different people. And I think it's just something I think about a lot. But everybody looks at opportunity, and both winners and losers ask the same question. They ask the question, why not me? And they ask it in two different ways. So like, winners look at, we'll talk about like that franchisee who's on track to catch up soon with our corporate locations in that one painter. They're asking the question, why not me? And it's a positive question. It's, all right, well, what are they doing that I can't do? Why can't I do that? And then there's, all right, he has a good team. Let me build a good team. All right, they follow this system. Let me follow that system. Why not me? Right. And then you have people asking the same question. And so but it's from a negative point. It's like, why not me? And it's like, they come up with all these reasons why it won't work for them. And so it's the same question. It's just, are you coming up with a list of excuses or a list of expectations for yourself? And if you say, hey, why not me? Well, like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And then you come up with a bullet point list of things that you need to do, and you set those expectations up for yourself. Or you can come up with a list of excuses of why it won't work for you. And that's like, it's that simple on the difference between who's going to win and lose.
Yeah.
I think that's so perfect. It's true. And you're right. And look, it's the world. You can go into any classroom, and there's A students, B students, C students, D students. It's like, we all have, I read this morning that the average American male lives to be 74 years old. I mean, that's not a long time.
No.
And it's like, why not take your shot? Humans are so freaking resilient.
They are.
They really are. I mean, we've talked to people that have come back from bankruptcy to full-on successful entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So no matter how bad you think it is, you can still pull the nose of the plane up, and you can still go do everything.
Yeah.
I think Henry Ford came out and recovered from bankruptcy and changed the world. So point is that people are always so afraid about, what if I lose everything?
Well, look, Steven started with $12. He knows.
Right. You can lose everything and start over.
You didn't have a choice,
Yeah.
So
wait a second. Can we go back to that? Your wife's working at Starbucks. You lose the big job. You guys have kids at that point?
No.
Okay.
And we had no car payments, and our rent was $600.
Okay. So it was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. But it was still like newlywed, and her husband is like wanting to start a business immediately after getting married. So it's like, but she was on board. She was like, let's try now. It's only, like she's always said, like she knew it would only get harder later. So like, she's like, let's do it now. And so we went for it. And to be honest, like for a while, it was just me literally painting houses. That was it. And eventually then it was like me hiring friends and teaching them how to paint and stuff. And it grew from there. And, I didn't even understand a P&L. Like I I ran everything. I didn't have an LLC. I ran everything through my personal bank account for the first year until I met with a CPA at the end of the first year. And she's like, you don't have an LLC set up? I was like, no. I was like, how do you do that? She goes, well, let's get on LegalZoom together. And she literally did it there in front of me because she's like, you need this.
Yeah. It's a good story. But I love how you said that. It's like that, I don't know, it's that picture about like, I don't know, the iceberg or something. And it's like the path is all rocky and all we see is like the big mountain, but you don't see all the things that go up to it, you know, and that there's so much hard work that we all have to put in before something big happens.
It's true.
And, you know, and again, we talk about it on this podcast. We talk about it on our own. It's like those first 18 months are hard, you know, and you have to get through it. And it's so, I see why people get discouraged. I see how it can be frustrating, but you've got to really power through it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, every time we talk to someone about it, it just reinforces it for us too. Like, yes, we do. But it's true. If we look at insiders and what we're doing with Pinks, you know, it's not easy at the beginning.
Mm-mm. But, you know, again, it's like
franchise insiders. Like, it's not easy to break into the consulting world and do as well as you guys have done.
No.
And I'm sure that first little while was super nerve-wracking and was a grind for a while before you guys got to where you're at.
The first 5 months of Franchise Insider. So Jill and I decided to take out a full page ad in Southwest Airlines magazine to start up. So we had sold our house. We were both working in corporate America and we were so fed up. We decided on New Year's Eve. Jill and I have different recollections of this, but to my recollection, New Year's Eve in Huntington Beach, the discussion was which one would keep the job, which one would quit.
Got it.
New Year's morning, it was we're selling the house and we're both
doing it. No, it was same story.
Okay.
I love that. That's awesome.
So then we sell the house and then we do a deal with Southwest Airlines because the thought was, hey, business travelers are going to see the ad in Southwest.
And they had a franchise section.
Not yet. No, we started that. Oh. So $8,000 for a full page ad. After selling our house, maybe we had a couple $100,000 to our pocket and we rented a house. So first 5 months, we didn't make any money. I believe it was first 5 months, no money.
And no one called.
No one initially. And then finally, an airline pilot, a captain who super cool dude. He's like, I've been seeing your ads. He was a little older. He's like, I basically fly from Vegas to Honolulu and back, you know, a couple times a week. That's my job. He's like, but I'm looking for a business for my daughter. And he saw our ad. So that becomes our first sale from Southwest. And Southwest for us was our main branding and revenue generator. And as Jill mentioned, it became so successful that Southwest said, hey, we're going to create a franchise section and we're going to give you guys a free article. And then other franchisors started signing up too. So at one point, there was like 10 different franchises advertising in this section. And then COVID came and killed it.
Magazine, they just done. We're not doing the magazine anymore.
Yeah, because it wasn't a profit center for Southwest. I don't know how, but Southwest basically said we're not coming back because it's not sanitary. So then Jill and I had to come.
A magazine?
Change. What's that?
They just got rid of the magazine because it wasn't sanitary?
And it was at first, there was like a little talk like we might bring it back, but also no one was traveling, wasn't, you know, germ wise. I have no idea. I mean, it just overnight, our number one ad source.
That was where we got all our business was from Southwest. And we tried United, we tried American, we tried Delta. We tried nothing else worked.
Didn't we try like Inc. and Forbes and we tried everything.
We tried a private jet magazine. Nothing else worked except Southwest was amazing for us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so then we're sitting in the middle of COVID and our number one lead generator is gone. And all of a sudden COVID's happening. It's like, who the hell's going to ever buy a business? And so we switched to Google, and fortunately Google became our number one source. But we could have at that moment, on any of those moments, packed it up and said, we're done. But we pivoted, we changed, we evolved with the times. And I think that's just what entrepreneurs have to do. There's not always going to be this guardrail in place for you. And so, I mean, again, it's a cool.
One day suddenly Google will stop working because everybody starts searching on ChatGPT for franchises.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out how to get ranked there.
We're already there.
It's just that's business. That's how it works. Like your vendors are going to change, your lead sources are going to change. It's like those things change over time, and that's okay. You just move along with the wave, you know.
Too, it's okay to try, something a few times to see what it does, and It may not be conventional and it might be risky, but you never know what you're going to get out of it. And so I think being a business owner, you have to be able to pivot and you have to be able to change and you have to be able to kind of like accept a loss and move on, and not dwell on it. It keeps you on your toes.
I think that's perfectly said. Steven, there's something, and I know we've got so many other brands and stuff to talk about with you, but I also want to talk about this. Steven, so here's Steven. He started with the $14 in his pocket. $12, excuse me.
Yep.
Now, Steven's parents work for Resi Brands.
Yeah.
Are sales, right?
Yeah. So what happened there was we were doing. So the first year of that one painter, we sold, I don't know, 27, I think, franchise units. So not bad, but there's been plenty of, we've done a lot more than that, but 27 is pretty good. And we were doing a lot of like trade shows, a lot of like franchise gator type stuff. And and then just honestly, we're selling a lot to friends and family. And then we knew there was like this great way of connecting with franchise candidates through franchise consultants. And so, but we hadn't really tapped into that yet. We had become a member of FranServe and not made any progress. And so I was just thinking about it one day and so I went over to my parents' house and I was actually trying to originally recruit my dad. And my dad just made too much money with the job he was at and stuff. So I wasn't able to afford him. And so I went back over to my parents' house like a few weeks later and I was like, hey, Mom, so you know how you like bragging on me? She goes, yeah. I was like, do you want to do that full time? And so I gave her this, like, I didn't even give her a base salary. I gave her like basically a tiny little draw against future commissions and got her to quit her job. And I said, here's a list of FranServe consultants. We're paying for this membership. I haven't talked to them. I don't know them, but they know a lot of people who want to buy franchises. And so she just called all of you, like just called, FranServe consultants. Ultimately, she ended up calling you too. And that's how we ultimately got connected. She called you. And so she
called me once a week, Steven.
Once a week. And so she did such an amazing job.
And at first, let me, who is this lady?
Yeah.
Like, that one painter, what franchise is this? Like, I didn't know, right?
She set a goal for herself. She said, if I call 10 franchise consultants a day, I will sell 10 units a month. That's what she convinced herself of. If I call 10 consultants a day, and sometimes it was calling the same ones over and over, and sometimes it was calling new ones, but she's like, if I call 10 consultants a day, I will end up selling 10 units a month. And she sells 10 units a month every month.
She is a master of visualization. We had a really good talk the other day. I was having I have those days too sometimes where it's like, man, this is tough. And she basically said to me, you can't do that. She says, here's what I'm doing. And she's like, you need to visualize that too. And I'm like, you know what? You're freaking right. Yeah. I'm like, the way we got to our most successful years ever was by having a goal and visualizing and going for it and cutting out the noise. And there's so many people right now that want to say, well, the election's coming and maybe going to put things on hold. And you can, but I think it's like Cody Sanchez was like, but it ain't going to change anything. It's ultimately you that's going to change things.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom's an amazing person. She's an amazing coach in that way too. So a year later, she had done so well for us that my dad quit his job and came and worked for us too. And now we have a team of 6 people that are on our franchise development team. And I just made her VP. And so she got promoted last week. And so it's a unique thing, right? Like, I don't think that most franchisors have hired their parents to help them sell franchises, but my parents have done an amazing job, and they lead that team, and it's really cool to see.
It's an amazing story. I mean, so much of this is amazing how you guys have changed franchising. So we'd be remiss, Steven, and if we didn't just talk a little bit about some of the other things that are happening. Obviously, people know about that one painter. Great franchise, great subcontractor model, very scalable. Pink's Window Services. Anyone that's tuned into this podcast, you're here probably because you're interested in Pink's. You know about all the fun that Jill and I are having scaling Pink's. And, Steven, we've talked a lot about, going back to how we talked about Franchise Insider's early struggles. Just very quickly, our Pink's journey has been, we really took off fast. 3 months in, we were hitting the monthly goal that we wanted. And then summer came. And here in South Florida, we lose all our snowbirds. They go back up north.
Wild
So summer was really slow.
And it's hot.
And then now all of a sudden it's like, dude, we're jammed. So Pinks has been a great journey for us. But Steven, what else is cooking at Resi Brands? What should people know about?
Yeah, we have Garage Up, which is garage door repair and garage renovation. And then we just now are officially have a new franchise brand called Action Exteriors, which is roofing, gutters, siding, and windows. Subcontractor model, super high ticket. That's as of a week ago that we have the FDD live. And so a lot of interest. I've done over 30 interest calls at this point. So we have a lot of people interested right now. We're only selling in 10 states right now.
Storm markets,
so we're storm markets and southern states where it's more year-round activity. It'll be 14 to 16 states soon after a little more paperwork and whatnot's done. But 10 states right now, it'll go to 14 to 16, somewhere around there. And then that'll probably be the only states we sell in for about a year until we feel like the model is also proven for the northern states with less storms. But right now we're focusing on more storm states. So, really, really, really good brand. I think the branding is phenomenal. Really good system that we put together for it. We're really excited about it. And then coming next year will be Monty's Handyman Services, which we're building here in Austin right now. It's going really, really well. We've got a team handyman about to hire another one. We've got a sales guy. It's going very well, but we're working out everything for the franchise system still. So sometime next year, we'll be franchising that as well for Handyman Services.
Steven, we have a client who owns a Best Choice Roofing in Louisiana, and I don't even think he's 30. And man, his first year, holy smokes. I mean, roofing, and you're adding on windows and if you all out there listening can get your hands on a roofing business, dude, they are, there's some of the best numbers in franchising.
And what I can tell you too is this is the coolest looking franchise in the roofing space. The branding is, we're not done with the full website and stuff yet, but we've sent out little teasers, but we're going to do some videos. You're going to see what it looks like. This is going to be the coolest thing in roofing and exterior renovation, hands down.
Very cool. It's a great space. And Monty's, that's a great space too, because there's so many people out there like me who have no idea how to do anything around the house. We've got at least 3 light bulbs.
We're not a good team. We're literally waiting for one more thing to break so we can call someone. So we're living with light bulbs out. And
we have 3 light bulbs out because I don't know how to change them. Honestly, I can't. It's not my deal.
I'm a decent painter, right? But I don't do much around the house now.
No. It's great. We live in a we live in a community, and so there's a Facebook page, and I would say the number one question in there is who has a good hand.
Yes.
Because you want someone that's trusted, you want someone that someone else has used, you want the referrals because you never know who you're letting in your house.
Yes.
This is with all home services, but the handyman thing really, because you may be really good at painting and doing other things, but there's other things you're not great at. So
all that junk drawer sort of to-do list, right? And we also have a maintenance plan built in. And so we can come out to your house every other month and take care of all those, checking the light bulbs, water filters, AC filters, smoke detector batteries. We have a checklist that we're working through. We're improving it right now, but that's all we're selling. We've been selling 4 memberships a week to our membership program. And so that's been going really well, and I think it adds reoccurring revenue to a handyman service, which is typically kind of just one-day jobs. This is, I think it's gonna be huge.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone I can get on a subscription or recurrence is perfect, so I don't have to think about it. They're here. You've been sending your laundry out, so it's a no-brainer.
I need to do that. Yeah.
Listen, we're all about things that allow us to put our time into more productive endeavors.
Yes.
And so any service that can make our life easier is a great thing.
Very true.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, Monty's will be next year. Action, if anybody's interested, we'd love to chat about it. It's a very, very good business to be in. That's what I'll say.
we're it's if for all of you that want to talk to us and have us introduce you over to Resi for Action Exteriors, text us 305-710-0050. Or even if you go right to Resi Brands, just mention that you found out about Action through the We Bought a Franchise podcast, and they'll take great care of you. But like Steven said, it's one of those franchises that probably is not going to last long. I mean, if you want to get your hands on Mighty Dog or Best Choice, they're mainly not available at this point. They're mainly sold out. So now you can have the power of Resi Brands behind a great concept, whether it be Action or in the future Monty's. And Steven, I just want to say one more thing in terms of what Resi does, because one of the questions people ask me is, hey, does their advertising and marketing, does it really work? And I, in the beginning, I'm like, look, I probably would count on maybe 30-40% of our business coming from, this is not you guys saying it, it's me saying it, from their marketing efforts. But as I look at our calendar today, 95% of our estimates are from Facebook, Google, Instagram, the efforts that you guys do for our franchise. So when people ask about, oh man, is it worth it to pay the royalty? Yes, of course, because you know what? If we didn't pay that royalty for that marketing, we'd have to hire that person. And we'd have to pay them $50,000 a year. Guess what? They'd quit on us at the worst possible moment. So having that ability to have you guys cover that for us is wonderful. And your team reaches out every single month and says, hey, here's the response from each channel.
Like, I saw your truck. I took a picture of it, again, because they're seeing the logo, they're seeing the brand. And I mean, again, I laugh because it's window washing. I would have never in a million years recognized a window washing brand somewhere, but they're seeing the brand. And so you guys are doing such an amazing job with that, and it's helping us. But,
and that's where like marketing, I think, is not always fully understood. Is marketing is a whole picture. Like running ads on Facebook is one piece. It's a very critical piece in marketing, but the branding, the way that a van looks, the way that the swag feels when you wear it, like all these things matter. And they're all connected, right down to how the franchisee represents the brand when they go up to the house. It's all part of a marketing strategy, right? And ultimately, that's something we want to excel at, is making more content, more eye-catching content and ads than anybody else has for that industry. And so, Pink's, I think has really spearheaded that, and we're now implementing a lot of those strategies across all of our brands. And I think it's going to be like, we believe that Resi will be the largest trades franchise in the world. But not only that, we believe it will be brands that people actually remember and talk about. And that'll make them the most well-known. We're talking about household names, and that will it happen for every single one of our brands? I don't know, but I think it will happen for a lot of them. And I think it's already happening for Pink's. That One Painter's getting recognized a lot now in different places, and more influencer projects and stuff happening. And so I think that's the new era of advertising. It's not just pay-per-click. It is thinking about marketing as a holistic strategy.
You got to be across all channels. I think that's exactly right. And it's changing. You're seeing you got to use them all, because it's always, like you said, it's always evolving. So
I think it's important to remember, like, building a business, like we were talking about, is a very, very rewarding endeavor. And whether it's Resi, another franchise, or something on your own, like I tell people all the time, like, get into business. Like, it's going to be hard. Every single franchisee I've ever met, I've ever talked to, they've all wanted to quit. Normally somewhere around month 4 to month 8. There's going to be a bad day, sometimes a bad month, sometimes a bad quarter, right? You guys said summer was rough because all the snowbirds, but that's the journey, and it makes it more like worth it and more rewarding when you do have your wins. If everything was easy, you wouldn't feel that proud of yourself when you finally built something you know what I mean? Like, you actually built it and accomplished it. You can be proud of yourself now because you weathered those storms. You went through those bad days. You went through the, doubt and the questions of like, oh, why did I do this? It was so much easier when I had my steady 9 to 5 or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but like on the other side of it, it is so much more fun and rewarding. And I think people should do it, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. And a franchise makes it simple, but it does not make it easy. Right. And so I think it's a worthy endeavor, and I think people should go for it.
On my wall, you can't see it, but there's the sign from my grandfather's general store from maybe 1920.
I love that.
Johnson's store. And I have that up there on my wall.
Yeah.
And if my grandpa just worked in some company,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be up on my wall.
Yeah.
If grandpa was a successful accountant, no offense to accountants, you're wonderful people that help us.
Yeah, we
Thank
love
you.
you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. But I
Yeah.
don't know that I would have anything up on the wall. And to all of you out there who are considering, making this change, nothing's promised. But that ability to build something, take it from people that have, from Steven,
Yeah.
on a smaller scale, it changes your world. And there's no prouder feeling than when you build something and you're highly successful at it and you do good things and you help people and you have changed the world. Steven, you have changed the world. You have changed franchising. You did that. Yes, you have. You've changed franchising. You are making home services cool. I like to give Horsepower Brands a lot of credit for starting sort of the revolution.
I appreciate that. And that's what we want to do. We want to help franchisees build prominent, successful businesses in their local market. But we also want them to have the benefit of a nationally recognized brand. And that's very rarely been done in home services. You think it is done quite often in like retail or food. But it's been very hard for people to achieve that in home services. And that's what we want to do. I believe it is what will set us apart long term, is having nationally recognized home service brands. And that's a huge advantage as a franchisee if you're part of a brand that's nationally recognized. Pretty soon, like, you won't know where some of the leads came just because they come because people know about. I tell people all the time, when branding is done properly, not just marketing, not just pay-per-click and all that, but branding is done properly. Like, when I go to the fridge and I grab a Coke, I don't know which one of their advertisements made me buy that or grab that, right? And neither does Coca-Cola. They don't know why I grabbed that. They have no idea. Branding eventually, it when done well, can be so much bigger than any marketing campaign. And that's what we're hoping to achieve with our brands and home services. It's going to take time. None of it will happen overnight, but I do believe that's what we're going to set up. We're going to build the coolest, most recognized home service brands.
You're getting there for sure.
You're doing it, man.
We're huge supporters, but you're doing it.
Steven, this has been so much going on.
Yeah, it's fun. And we have some really fun stuff planned for this next ResiCon. So
can't wait. We're excited to be there next year.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, my friend. Thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to our continued friendship and partnership.
Awesome. Appreciate it.